Alright. So the purpose of today's lesson is that for the literacy purpose of the math, right, we're going to go over 3 types of strategies. And I'll do number 1. We'll do number 1, number 3 actually, because we didn't want to do last time. I'll do number 3, the beginning of it. We'll finish off number 3 together, and then you do number 4 by yourself. Alright? So the first thing I want you to write in your, you can write devices. Devices. I'm going to give you a list of devices that help you break down the literacy element of the word problem. Have you, I know Grandma was telling me, I know you said you like playing video games, right?
Yeah.
You ever noticed, what video games you play?
Like Call of Duty or
So Call of Duty, right? Which is a action video game, which you should really not play that much, but still. Call of Duty, the character has a lot of arms, correct?
yeah,
And you don't understand what arms are?
like guns.
Correct. Weapons, right? In the game. Does he carry all of them separately, or how does he carry them in the game? You have to switch the remote for him to get a different weapon, right?
Yeah.
So can we call that chunking? Chunking. You understand what the word chunking means?
No.
Chunking means that instead of carrying 5 different books for all your subjects, you carry 1 binder. You chunk the material.
Okay. So you're holding.
You're holding more with less, right? So instead of you putting money here, Metro card here, school ID here, another thing here, or everywhere, right? You grab 1 wallet and put everything in there. That's called
Chunking.
chunking. So that's the first thing you want to write. Chunking.
Do you have the definition of it?
Chunking is basically, how would you define chunking if you were my teacher right now?
Chunking is holding 5 different things in one place.
Okay, perfect.
What's the next device?
Alright, so the next device is, remember in ELA or literacy class, did you ever have to take notes?
Yes.
You take notes in math in my class as well, right? You take notes in a lot of classes. How do you take notes? How does a note product work?
Well, they usually want to use phone I just.
So let's say over here, right? I want to write notes, right? I want to write notes, and the one thing I do is, so look at that board, right? So what's one topic that's been familiar to you recently? Any topic that's been, are you familiar with? Which topic have you done so far?
Poetry?
Alright, so basically, structured note taking, that's the next one. Structured note taking. That's pretty much, structured note taking is that, let's say we're doing one problem, right?
Yeah.
Let's not even discuss math. Right now, let's think about World War, right? World War II. Let's speak about that, right? So World War II is the topic, correct? And I want to tell you about allies of America, enemies, and I want to tell you about events, and also people, and social trends, right? That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So structured note taking is pretty much when structure is having, like, things all over the place, but getting them together to be in one place, like stability, correct. So for structured, I would write structured notes. I would write World War II. I would write allies. Then I would list some allies of the U.S. Then I would write enemies, and I would list some enemies of the U.S. See, it becomes a pattern, right? Exactly. And events, and so on, and so on. So it becomes a structure. Structure note taking. In math, it could be that x equals 3y plus 1, right? You want to write out x is, the question is, what is x, right? And info is x equals 3y plus 1. And the clues are y equals 3. So see, that's a lot structured, right? There's a lot of structure there. So that's structured note taking.
You need to
Organize your notes. Then mnemonic devices. This word right here. Mnemonic devices.
Is the each side?
Yep. This is actually a mnemonic device right here. What does this word mean? What was WW? What did we discuss?
World War.
World War, right? What is GTA? Grand Theft Auto, right?
Yeah.
Correct. They have a lot of these programs where you take my favorite mnemonic device is taking the first letter of each word and World War GTA. You can use that in math as well, right? But guess what's the most famous one in math? Panda. Parentheses. Mnemonic devices. That's what that's called.
Another method of abbreviation.
Yes, exactly. Perfect definition. Alright, so you have three devices that you can use. The first one is
Chunking,
mhm,
structure note taking,
mhm,
and the mnemonic device.
mnemonic, right? And there's various methods and ways to use them. Sometimes you can use all of them in one problem, sometimes you can't use any of them. So it just depends on the capacity, okay? Let's move on quickly. Let's do number 3. Read number 3 to me right now and tell me after reading it what device would you use?
Nicole aerobics classics exercises to fast-paced movement. If the rate of the music is 120 beats per minute, how many beats would there be in a class that is 0.75 hours long? Structure note taking.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think structured note taking will be the best one. So how will you take notes here? So tell me in structured notes, what is the question asking you?
How many beats would there be in a class that is 0.75 hours long?
And what's the rate of music beats per minute?
120.
Per minute, right? So one thing you want to do is they're asking you how many beats would there be, right? So they're asking you an hour, they're giving you beats per minute, right?
Yeah.
Asking you how long will it be in 0.75 hours. How can you make the information uniform, meaning the same. So how would you structure note this? One thing I would do is, if the rate is 120 beats per minute, how many minutes are there in an hour?
60.
That would be my first note. 60 minutes an hour, right? 1 hour. And the music plays 120 beats per minute. And the question finally is, how many beats would there be in a class that's, what does 0.75 represent to you?
The beats,
No, 0.75 right here. What does it say?
the hours.
Hours. But what is the number 0.75? What are other ways you can write 0.75?
So by I'm trying to go by like I'm gonna take like minutes.
Mhm. What about when you order pie of pizza and Shakira ends up eating half of it? How much do you have left?
And then half.
Half. I want you to think like that. Fraction. What does 0.75 mean? What's another way to write 0.75 in a fraction?
1/75.
No, no. 3/4. Right?
Alright.
3/4. She eats, let's say now you have 4 slices, she ends up eating 3 of them. 3 out of 4, 3/4, right? So that's another information you gotta emphasize, that 0.75 is the same thing as 3/4 of an hour. So what's the first step in solving for this answer? What do we have to set? We gotta find out what this means, right? We're given minutes and information in minutes, right?
Yeah.
But we're being asked this in an hour. We want to find out how many minutes are in an hour, which is 3/4, right?
Yeah.
How would you do that? Well, you're moving ahead now. I'm asking you, can you convert this into minutes? If 0.75 of an hour, right? That's what they're asking you. 0.75 of an hour, 75% of an hour, 3/4 of an hour, same thing, right? What is 3/4 of an hour? How do you find that? What is 75% of an hour? How do you find that? Exactly. And how many minutes are in an hour?